throng in the streets, this frenzied crowd. This is the carnival in Rio de Janeiro. The annual pre-Lenten madness, the fun-making without a break for 3 days and 3 nights. The 2 million people of the city, old as well as young, poor and rich, dance to the nostalgic, mad and sensuous measures of the Brazilian samba. 1 million characters from 1,000 fairy tales. A gigantic ballet whose stage is the entire city, and in which there are no spectators, only dancers. Thousands of make-believe menacing Indians stream into the modern streets of Rio. Arriving in Brazil with a scientific expedition, I find myself in the very heart of this crowd, constantly encountering beautiful girls, girls intoxicated with the pulsating, ever-present rhythm. Nero is not dead after all. He's here in Rio, graciously joking with amused tourists from New York. Throughout these 3 days, not a soul sleeps. Perfumed ether restores those whose tempo begins to falter. Here is a genuine carioca, the embodiment of the charm and torridness of the tropics. One more day of the carnival, the last, and still new revelers pour in. Rain or no rain, who cares? Let's dance, dance till we drop. Indoors as well as on the streets, the carnival goes on. Girls from Bahia, like so many bouquets of exotic flowers, exude the same voluptuous charm which fills the streets of Rio. They used to say, see Naples and die. Here we say, see the girls of Rio and begin to live. Together with my wife, Monica, I sit among the joyous crowd and try to catch the spirit. I must confess my mind is not on festivities. I'm worried whether I'm doing right in allowing Monica and her friend to accompany us on a dangerous expedition to the uncharted area of the Mato Grosso jungle. And when we drink to the success of our trip, my mind is full of snakes, jaguars, and poison-tipped arrows. Everything around us is in an uproar. The band surpasses itself, getting wilder and wilder. After 3 nights of music making, the players cannot even pause for fear of falling asleep. Enraptured Rio, oblivious of the world around, dances a sultry, frenzied samba, the last samba of this carnival. Morning, while the city's still asleep after its 3 days of madness, we arrive at the airport. And this is our expedition team. Andrea, Monica's friend, whose eyes smile in anticipation of adventure. Jeff, a young but already expert zoologist, knows that our year-long trip will be no picnic. Osorio, sage of the jungle, prepared for anything. Harry, the doctor. Let's hope we won't need his help. Monica, whose head is still full of the sounds of last night's samba. And I, head of the expedition, as usual, out of breath. In the end, everything falls on me. And finally, Bob, my assistant, always easygoing. He never hurries, but somehow is always on time. The die is cast. We are off on a 2,000-mile expedition. We will record the way of life and rituals of an incredibly primitive tribe of Indians rapidly dying out. Against our better judgment, we take along Monica and her friend, Andrea. Monica insists because she has heard that the Indians consider the presence of women as a sign of peace, a protection to us all. Goodbye, Rio. We'll be back this time next year, if we come back at all. After 12 hours of flight, we see shimmering below us the gigantic, mysterious expanse of the greatest of the world's rivers, the Amazon. That is the port of Belém. It's hard to imagine a view more picturesque than this old harbor. The multicolored sails of primitive fishing craft and the blue of the waters prepare our eyes for the lush tones of the jungle and are our farewell to the civilized world. This is not a canal, nor a flood, nor a Brazilian Venice. It's simply the daily tide, which for several hours inundates the harbor district of Belém. Nobody minds it, and some think it's a handy invention to clean the streets. In spite of the intense heat, there are crowds of people in the market. We've got to buy food for several months. Everything must be dried for preservation. Dried meat, dried fruit, and particularly this Brazilian specialty, a kind of cereal called manioca. We're going to eat it at breakfast, at lunch, and maybe at night. We'll never forget it. All these baskets are food supply. Practical Monica, looking ahead to the dry fare, revels in the succulent grapes. But we prefer bananas. Bob finally rouses himself to action and goes to tell Osorio that we can start. Osorio, meanwhile, has readied the boat in which we will reach the last fishing settlements. Farther on starts the jungle with its surprises and mysteries, foreshadowed by this knowing smile. A crude fishing boat carries us now over one of the innumerable tributaries of the Amazon. The first explorers of the far wilds of this great river used a boat like this, driven only by the wind. Even the simplest aids of civilization are farther and farther behind us, and before us, 3 weeks of slow progress upriver. Picturesque flotillas are the only break in the monotony. Finally, we reach the spot beyond which no fishing craft can venture. At last, a decent meal. And pictures of the turtle who came to dinner. A welcome food supply. It is prepared here in 80 different ways. Cachaça, the Brazilian whiskey, circulates from mouth to mouth. Now we know how a fire eater feels. The fishermen are talkative and friendly. Let's hope the Indians will be equally pleasant. A broiled turtle steak like this you can't get even in Paris. A new stage of our trip begins. The fishermen hand us over to ferrymen. We proceed along a wall of vegetation so exuberant it looks like a great canvas against which colors have been carelessly flung. Now we employ a means of transportation of which we have never heard before, flatboats dragged by water buffalo. One after another, strange botanical wonders. This ocean of verdure which we enter is dry as a desert for 4 months. For the following 8, it is flooded by the water that is covered by miles of tall grass. This hidden water is full of unexpected hazards, one worse than the other. Crocodiles, snakes, and swarms of small, bloodthirsty fish, the man-eating piranha. The nostalgic and unique Brazilian folk melodies help to shorten our bizarre journey. Thus we go on for 4 days and 4 nights, unable to stop anywhere. Under us always the unending expanse of water. So far, no unpleasant surprises, but we must have our guns in readiness for any event. And the water buffaloes move on steadily without rest, breaking through all obstacles like stolid, living bulldozers. At last, land. We approach a fazenda, a Brazilian farm, a dry and lonely oasis in the midst of the watery jungle. We can at last fulfill our overwhelming desire to straighten out our legs. These ranches, isolated from the outside world, treat the rare arrival of visitors as a great event to be celebrated with boundless hospitality. The fazenda stands on a hill and perches on stilts as protection from the prolonged floods. The dry land is not always dry. Intermittent but heavy rains turn the entire area into sticky mud. We rest a few days, for we are now at the jumping off place for the unknown and for the most trying and perilous part of our adventure. We examine the equipment and clean our weapons. Two steps from the fazenda begins the real jungle and its countless traps for the unwary. Bob and Osorio run into such a trap set by nature when an underwater route overturns their light boat. Osorio must be brought ashore immediately. Blood from his cut knee can attract a school of piranhas, and this seemingly innocent stream could become his grave. He cannot return on foot, so Bob will get help from the fazenda. Here in the midst of the jungle, blanketed by the oppressive heat, he knows he is a live prey for 1,000 beasts and a possible victim of countless dangers. A drop of poisonous resin may blind him forever. As he grips a certain branch, his hand may at once become swollen. The prick of the thorn of a surface root can cause painful wounds which resist healing. This wild and lonely place, where every sound signals another danger, another enemy, is the green inferno. Here are two enemies. A small capybara and a big crocodile. What dramatic tension in the stare of these two mortal foes. The outcome of this unequal struggle is never in doubt. According to the laws of the jungle, the strong must devour the weak. Bob makes his stumbling way through the jungle, impeded by the lianas strung like barbed wires and by sharp roots. Frightened birds start up with menacing screams. Here is a new enemy, the deadly and treacherous boa constrictor. Osorio does not stir. Any move may provoke the snake. An iron grip at the throat paralyzes the reptile. Bob returns with Andrea. They cannot know the new threat to Osorio's life. Now is the time to use the knife. The big killers of the jungle do not yield. Even though mortally wounded, the half-dead snake still attacks. It was well, after all, to allow the women to come on the expedition. Andrea proves an excellent nurse. A terrifying rumble and another danger. Take cover, Osorio orders. A herd of wild buffalo is trampling everything on its way. Stampeding buffalo charge past only a few steps away. Bob aims at the rushing herd. Hold fire, yells Osorio. If you enrage them, we will all be trampled to death. One more danger happily avoided. But for one day, that's certainly enough. What joy to get back from the depths of the green inferno to a house and people. Osorio's accident is only the beginning of our adventures and a warning of what might come. The injury to Osorio's knee will need attention, so we'll be stranded at the fazenda for some time. Monica plays with a beautiful and comic monkey. All attempts to persuade the playful creature to talk into the microphone are of no avail. She doesn't intend to be a radio star. Meanwhile, Jeff studies his catch of the past few days. Hundreds of amazing Amazon butterflies, which are the most magnificent in the world. The number of known species goes into thousands. There are over 400 varieties of Liliconia alone. They hover in flocks like painted clouds, luminous with a splendid metallic sheen. And they possess a fantastic instinct for self-preservation. The multicolored Liliconia protect themselves against enemies with repellent odor. The owl's head imprinted on the wings is a device against birds. Morphos, real butterfly queens, are like blue flying stars. And here again, the means of locomotion irreplaceable in these parts. Oxen and barges. The entire farm at this season is on the water. Andrea and Bob, having had enough of danger for the time being, set out on a tour of the farm. The vistas along the banks are not too dissimilar to those at home, but everything here has a special color, a special light, and a melancholy poetry of its own. A local breed of horses tolerate philosophically a daily bath like this. Newly captured wild buffalo are loaded here and sent to cities downriver. This primitive loading method seems somewhat rough, but the Amazon cowboys, the vaqueros, maintain that the operation is not painful to beasts with such powerful necks. Brazilian fazendas, some of them larger than many European countries, live almost wholly by cattle raising. Crop planting is impossible because of the constant floods. Bob suggests a gallop around the farm. He's always looking for trouble. Just a few steps outside the enclosure, a jaguar who's been terrorizing the farmers and decimating their herds. One well-aimed shot and it's all over. But better check. If only wounded, the jaguar might spring up and mutilate a careless hunter. This skin will be an excellent beginning for a collection of hunting trophies. At the farewell fiesta, a caboclo exposes his wounded heart in his own composition and lyrics. My fair beloved has gone and left me. I've no companion in the dance, but still I laugh and dance like mad. Oh, faithless one, you've lost your chance. The caboclos, like all other Brazilians, are in their element in their warm response to pulsating music. Most of our party dance barefooted, more zestfully than do those with shoes. These caboclos, hired seasonal laborers at the fazenda, consider themselves the real masters of this sparsely populated country. They're open-hearted and gay, with a proud sense of personal honor which it is dangerous to offend. On the faces of the caboclos is the heritage of the many races which have intermingled in this country's history. These dignified mothers certainly have Indian blood. The band keeps playing original, warm and throbbing tunes, full of the magnificent musical invention. It is from these very songs that the great composers of South America derive the motifs for their works. Coconut juice with a jigger of Brazilian brandy is the powerful concoction customary at such parties. Dessert doesn't cost anything here. Only one has to climb to reach it. Lively and quick, these children already know where sweets are to be found and how to get them. We eat barbecued buffalo meat with our fingers along with our hosts. We stock up on this hearty dish to strengthen us for the main stage of our expedition. Today we start out in 3 boats into the real heart of the jungle. Here on in, we are true explorers. We've gathered enough information to know that in an uncharted region of this jungle live Indian tribes that are a close link to our Stone Age ancestors. Our objective is not only to find them, other people have done that, but also to survive to tell about it. Many of our predecessors have been murdered as intruders. Our boat will pilot the other craft. For several months, our nerves will have to cope with the uninterrupted clatter of its outboard motor. As far as the eye can see extends the boundless expanse of the Amazon. This is only one of its countless arms, but even here it merits the name the natives give it, Rio Mar, the river sea. Below teems a fantastic, invisible world of aquatic beasts. Powerful 6-foot fish, dolphins, monsters with awesome jaws. The enchanted underwater kingdom of this limitless river. After several weeks of progress along the Zygmunt, a tributary of the Amazon, we break into 3 separate groups. Each on its own will seek traces of the Indians. Already more than 1,000 miles from Rio, we may have another 1,000 to go before reaching our goal. A remote tribal settlement of the northern neighbors of the Tamayuras Indians. For fear of such visitors as ourselves, the Indians keep away from the river's edge, and we must penetrate deep inland to locate them. Another unpredictable obstacle, the sudden appearance of powerful and hazardous rapids. Shooting rapids with my wife in a clumsy boat is not my speed. But with luck, we make it. The rest of our party follows a quieter stream, pleasant and peaceful. But when they hit a narrow inlet, they discover that people here are unwelcome guests. Crocodiles, hundreds of them, are the masters of these waters. And again, Bob is trigger happy. The shot, too near Osorio's ear, throws him off balance. Bob instinctively swims to the rescue of Andrea, who is too paralyzed by terror to scream. The race to the boat is speeded by the terror of losing limbs or lives to these monsters. When Andrea clambers aboard, Bob comes to his senses. Blows with the only weapon available don't help much in scaring off these cold-blooded pursuers. Finally, the doubtful safety of the boat. Doubtful indeed, because now the entire Narrows stirs. It is a living lake of crocodiles, seemingly sluggish, but always on the alert for prey. One false move, and the loathsome creature has a chance to mangle them. A mere blow by its tail may shatter the canoe. Andrea shows extraordinary courage in danger. But the crocodiles are moving in, their numbers growing. They're getting more enraged and more obstinate. love's only weapon breaks into splinters. Just a few more shoves, if they can only reach shore. And even here, one more aggressor. Osorio has saved himself and the rifle. How useful this shot would have been 5 minutes earlier. As we found out from Osorio, all crocodiles are cautious in attacking unknown prey. And thanks be to God, these crocodiles had no contact with our species. Meanwhile, Monica and I force our way through the jungle. The thousands of birds now darting over us are one of its greatest fascinations. Birds of extravagant colors, inexhaustible varieties of shapes and sizes. Their voices are raised in unending songs, calls and screeches, in which thousands of discordant sounds combine into a strange harmony. This abandoned egg belongs to the ema, younger cousin of the ostrich, unhappy, henpecked husband, whose wife deserts him immediately after laying an egg and leaves him alone with the yet unborn offspring. This is probably why Mr. Ema is in such bad humor. This strangely attired fellow is the anteater, terrifying only to ants, actually the meekest creature under the sun. Tremendous spider webs like this are deadly traps for insects and even for smaller birds. Millions of spiders overrun the virgin forest. They're frightfully cunning, nimble, and cruel. Some have marvelous azure blue colors. Or like this one, shining black. Two females fighting for a male. There are always too few of these males for, we are sorry to say, they're simply eaten by their wives. Their bite may cause death, even to human beings. The quick brush-off is the only treatment to give a spider. No matter how panicky you are, you must not crush it. The spider's poisonous secretion can painfully burn your skin or kill you. And now a leopard. We are lucky that he is sated. When hungry, he is a formidable attacker. This skull belongs to the strongest animal of the jungle, the buffalo, who provides a banquet for the forest's weakest creatures, the ants. Trudging through the thickets and swamps of the virgin forest, the splendor of the birds reminds us that it is not only a green inferno, but also a green paradise. This bird is like a great white flying flower. The toucan looks as if it had only fastened on its immense beak for a masquerade. Hovering over the whole jungle are the parrots of every improbable size and every extravagant color. The parrot screech resounding through the deep forest is one of the jungle's most characteristic sounds. The macaws, largest and strongest of the parrots, display their gloriously colored wings to awe or frighten off an attacker. Weaker members of the parrot family can camouflage themselves among the foliage. But the jungle also hides thousands of other species of birds, for which, as for so many other living things, these lie in wait, the snakes. Intelligence and mutual devotion mark the parrots from all other birds. But like all model couples, this pair has its family spat. chameleon, the most changeable of creatures. Its mood determines the color of its skin. The sloth moves so slowly that it can serve as a model for nervous people who are eternally on the go. Relax. Take a lesson from this philosopher of the jungle. In the world of violence around him, the poor, helpless sloth assumes the color of bark and dry leaves as his only protection. Suspended head downward from a branch, but a tuft of dry grass. This strange creature has decided that the world is too fast for him, and that is why this species is disappearing from the face of the globe. Slowly. Monica finds something that looks like a piece of dry wood, but that's Sloth Junior. And again, at each step, teeming masses of snakes. A magnificent royal heron trembles at a suspicious rustle. The armadillos are descendants of prehistoric monsters the size of oxen. They certainly have shrunk in the course of the last few million years. Our constant danger, the swamps, into which we could sink without a trace. This beautiful red flower is a monkey's favorite food. This stick is not a stick at all, but an insect which mimics it to mislead birds and spiders. The tapir loves the water and is an excellent swimmer. The tapir is very shy, very meek, a poor cousin of the rich elephant, lacking his precious ivory tusks. Black water, mysterious and ominous, floods this forest area for 8 months, the haunt of evil spirits, according to the Indians. Worn out by heat and work with a machete, we return to the same place from which we started. The air is so steaming that we must take a swim, but we take care to bathe in the rapids of this danger-infested river, for only there the deadly piranhas do not penetrate. The The rest of the group also indulge in a risky pastime, sleeping on the ground in the very heart of the jungle. A mysterious shadow falls on Andrea's face. It has happened, the most unexpected. We've been looking for the Indians, but it is they who have found us. First, fright gives way to relief when they see the smiling faces of the Indians. But how friendly are they? Are they killers, as we have heard? Or will the appearance of a woman be accepted by them as proof of peace? By sign language, they beckon them into the thicket. But where to? And what for? Three shots. The signal. Indians. Or some other terrible danger. Quick, to the boat. We must join our group. But how to reach them? The river branches out into dozens of arms. No compass here is of any use. Our speed is cut by frequent overhanging boughs, which threaten to push us off the boat or upset our craft entirely. We fear that we will move in circles. Each spot looks as though we've been there a moment ago. And we feel as if some mocking spirit is leading us into a labyrinth of awesome thickets. The bold and cruel Arania, teeming by the hundreds in these waters. The only place in the world where the merciless land hunter, the leopard, has learned to swim is here in the Amazon. I have no idea where we are. And suddenly the thought occurs to me that we have reached one of those inlets that leads nowhere, a watery dead end. Meanwhile, my companions are led away by the Indians. They're still fearful of the type of reception the tribe will give them. To his confusion, Osorio cannot make himself understood in the Kamayura tongue. He discovers that the vocabulary of these Indians is limited to a few score words whose meanings shift with their intonation. The tribal village receives them with great excitement, the first white people to appear in these parts. They offer their bows, their greatest wealth and only weapon. This is proof of trust and friendliness. They use mostly poisoned arrows, but to stir jungle birds from cover, they shoot whistling darts. The name of this large hut, we found out later, is Malavka. Apparently, my companions are considered friends, for they're permitted to enter. It is still unfinished. The easygoing tenants count on new couples to finish the job. I finally reach the rest of our party and the Indians. I speak to them in the ancient and global language of gifts. Cheap ones, I admit. I have the strange feeling that I've gone backward through a time barrier into a period that we have already passed by many thousands of years. I'm in physical contact with an actually prehistoric way of life. This overall makeup job, besides being decorative, served by its overpowering smell to ward off mosquitoes and other insects, not to mention intruders from the outside. Our hosts escort us to the hut of the chief, while an Indian beauty executes a gay step signifying a childish joy at our arrival. The daily chores include not only cooking, but also inspecting her husband's head. The latter is not only a necessity, but a singular form of local coquetry. Their bread is cassava, a poisonous root which is purified by several washings. Grated into flour, it is simply baked in the Brazilian sunshine. This dainty, served to the husband directly from the wife's head, is a rather original manifestation of marital affection. From early childhood, the Indian boys, even in games, practice archery, not for warfare, but for the peaceful pursuit of spearing fish. In this simple, leisurely fashion, the women turn out hammock ties and bowstrings. This bridegroom-to-be builds a house for himself and his future wife. They will not live in it, however, until next year, because custom demands that during the first year of marriage, the bridegroom must live with and work for his father-in-law. What a way to spend a honeymoon. In spite of communal housing, matrimonial fidelity is very strict. A most strange but prudent custom. They never mention the name of the mother-in-law. Here, life usually ends at 40. The deformed people are sometimes killed when a younger man dies prematurely. They're considered a source of evil, causing death to the young. Everything is not as serene and idyllic as it seems. Bob and Andrea take a walk by the water where the Indians have been hunting fish since morning. They are masters in the spearing of fish. Their arrows never miss. Manaloo is the tribal beauty. She's the undisputed Miss Jungle. There are so many varieties of fish here that their names are not known. The quiet is disturbed only by the splashings of water. There is an atmosphere of peace and tranquility. Everything basks in the sun. Under the azure sky, the new Eden. The stillness is broken by wailing sounds. 3 sturdy males hidden behind a special enclosure move rhythmically to the sound of bamboo pipes. This is Jacqui, the ritual dance which no woman may see. It is danced by the next of kin to frighten away the evil spirits from one who is ill. That morning, a young Indian succumbed suddenly to a pulmonary sickness. The spells are of no avail. The young Indian dies. With great urgency, on the very next day, they dig the grave in the very center of the village. This witch doctor was vehemently against the filming of the funeral. We shot these scenes secretly by hiding the camera under a blanket. The earth is scooped over with bare hands. The dead are buried in an upright position, wrapped in the hammocks used in life. At the graveside, the bereft widow and the sister of the dead man carrying a parrot, his only property which will be buried with him. And now they are ready for a dance of many hours to escort the deceased to the land of the spirits. At this time, the widow's hair is cut, and she cannot remarry until it has grown in. New makeup on the dancers' bodies, and a different design for each person. All paints are homemade with plant colors. The dance ends only when the dead man is considered to have reached the beyond. When he has arrived among the spirits, life returns to normal and the Indians to their fishing and constant bathing. Their first activity in the morning and their last one before sunset is a walk by the water. The river is their main provider. Each shot from the bow means one course for breakfast or dinner. The men broil and eat their own fish. Tribal superstition has it that he who eats fish cooked by a woman loses his masculinity. We never saw any of the males take this chance. These Indians most resemble Mongol types. Almost all are well built. Children are tenderly loved, but a barbaric custom dictates that twins must be buried alive at birth because they are gifts of the evil spirits. At ebb tide, these butterflies suck life-giving juices from the sandbanks. At noontime, when it is warmest, whole flocks of them descend on the banks. Time and time again, during the heat of the lazy day, the Indians enter the river and bathe. They also draw drinking water from it. As there is no well, our party drinks the same water and feels fine. The riverbed is the community center of the village. Gossip is exchanged, resulting sometimes in exciting scenes when a woman begins to beat the head of the spouse she has discovered to be faithless. He takes his punishment without resisting. The wife, strangely enough, maintains friendly relations with the woman in the case. The whole village participates in the show. At sundown, they regretfully leave the water, knowing that at twilight, the river will be taken over by crocodiles and piranha. After 10 months, I have more than enough material of our Indian tribe. It is time to set it down and return to Rio before the rainy season can imprison us in the jungle. Definitely we feel the worst is behind us, but it's not so. The biggest snake in the world, the terror of the Mato Grosso, the anaconda, slides towards Monica. This dread reptile is able to carry off and crush powerful animals and even human beings in its monstrous coils. At the sight of this monster, Monica freezes with horror. Lightning spring, and the reptile is winding its loathsome coils about her body. Actually remember is that in the struggle to disengage those sinuous coils, I found myself entwined in the 300-pound chain of crushing muscle. It would have been an unequal struggle, except that I automatically followed the advice of Osorio. I grabbed him at the neck glands and squeezed with all my might to paralyze the snake. His grip slowly weakened. My gun finishes off this most shocking experience of our trip. It might have been worse than shocking if the anaconda, as we discovered from his carcass, had not already been overfed with a large capybara, and therefore sluggish and considerably less dangerous. The Indians celebrate the killing of their enemy, the anaconda, with another dance, the dance of triumph. New and elaborate motifs adorn the dancer's body for the ritual. The males wear brilliant plumes as dashing as the headgear of the Three Musketeers. Everybody lines up for the dance. It is composed of only a few movements, but it is as accurately timed as the steps of a classical ballet. The accompaniment is the monotonous but very rhythmical chant of the women. Children from their earliest years are initiated into the tribal ceremonies. The hoops and pounding steps express the pride and triumphal feelings of the Indians. The women, holding their children, start the Marvura Vua, the dance of survival. It is the simplest of dances, consisting of one step, endlessly repeated. This is the ritual of supplication to the good spirits for the preservation of the tribe, which they believe originated from the beautiful neighboring trees. It is now that they give us the greatest proof of their faith by inviting Andrea to join in this most important of ceremonies. She has become a favorite of the whole village. The chief's son was so taken by the charms of Andrea that he was willing to commit a misalliance and marry her. We were only able to escape this honor by explaining that she could not take this step without her father's consent. But the spirits do not respond to the rituals of supplication. For this is a dying tribe. Year by year, their numbers dwindle. Only here can we see the human family living in the utter simplicity that our first parents knew, in a garden similarly troubled by serpents. We have done what we could to record the customs and way of life of these so clearly doomed to extinction, cut off by an impassable and pathless jungle from today's world. We did everything to gain their confidence. As we did not offend them, we were able to avoid the fate of the members of those earlier expeditions who never returned from this deep jungle and remained behind, forever a part of its mystery. The last memory of our stay among the Indians is another ritual dance, not to placate the good spirits, but to frighten away the evil ones. The spirits of the powerful, magnificent, but boundlessly cruel jungle. Not only primitive Indians, but civilized people in our own great modern cities break into the dance to express their joy or to mark religious festivals. After precisely a year in the jungle, we return to find Rio dancing again in the carnival that precedes the Lenten season. I dance with Monica in that crowd, to the rhythm of the samba. And though no one knows it, it is our own dance of triumph and joy, that we've been able to carry through our daring project, that we have challenged the mysteries of the jungle, that we've penetrated many secrets and emerged with a record of them. This is also our dance of survival, for we have faced the many dangers of the Amazon and survived them all. The music reverberates plaintively, madly. Ardent spirits dance to the rhythm of new inebriating tunes. More dazzling costumes join the traditional ones. sound, the frenzy and whirling color, there come to my mind the colors and sounds of the jungle, the incredibly bright birds, and the incandescent butterflies, the lush foliage of the virgin forest, and the screams of the parrots. While Monica gives herself completely to the fun, filled with the joy of return to her safe world, I feel, as has many before me, the overpowering urge to return, at least once more, to the far Amazon jungle.